Yo, what's up? It's your boy Terry Johnson, aka Bboy Adapt to all his situations, aka Documentary, aka Sweet Tea. I'm here from Harlem, Georgia, also repping Dearne, Georgia, and Thompson, Georgia.
How long you been breaking?
I've been only breaking for strongly 8 years, but I've been dancing ever since like when I was probably like 5 years old, right out here.
What was your first style that you started with?
My first style had to been definitely copying Usher and Michael Jackson. Definitely, that was my first inspiration. Michael Jackson and Usher. Those were the only two that I saw as a little kid that I was exposed to at the time. There was no YouTube either. It was just music videos, and that was it.
Where were you first introduced to b-boying?
I was first introduced to b-boying, sadly to say, it was the movie You Got Served. That's where I first was exposed to it. At this time, when that movie came out, I was still a young person, and like in our town, in this small town of Augusta, Georgia, there was nobody in my area that I really knew had to really break or even knew about the culture. So I got it from TV pretty much. I first started actually breaking after I went to a club called Coyotes. It's on Peach Orchard Road. They're not there no more, but this place, I went there, it was on a Wednesday, and I was hanging out with my friend. And this was the time where I actually moved back from Pennsylvania because I went to school up there. And after I came from Millersville, hanging out with my friends, they said I couldn't dance no more, and that really made me mad because I really felt like I couldn't dance at all because I stopped doing it. The only thing I was doing up there was just working. I was in school, I was living with a girl. It was just, I wasn't doing no kind of dancing, but I always had it in me. I just didn't do it for a long time. So when I moved back, I was just working. I was getting bored of my life. There was nothing going on. All I did was work, come home, and that was it. There was no entertainment. I hung out with friends, but they got boring also. They weren't doing nothing but the same thing they were doing when I left. So it just got very irritating, and I wanted to change. I wanted to move on and do something more with my life than just work. I see my mom doing it for years. I just had to do something different.
Now, who brought you into the b-boy world?
All right, so the person that brought me into it was the night that I did go to Coyotes. I battled this guy who I never knew his name. And most of y'all know him from Augusta, nicknamed Edric Ramsey, aka Sonic. And I battled this guy for a bunch of rounds, and luckily we did have some Michael Jackson songs playing at the time, so I was able to do my moves that I knew from a long time ago. And once I battled him, I started coming up to him because he actually did head spins and windmills, and that's something that I always wanted to learn, but never had the guidance to actually doing it. Watching TV and videos only helps you so far. Like these YouTube tutorials, they have no guidance. They just have information, great information, but there's nobody there while you're trying this move to help you correctly the right way.
So you're in Mixed Motionz. When did you get down with Mixed Motionz?
Edric put me down, I think after he saw, because once he said I could come practice with him, he had a house in Harlem, and I came to his house, and then I think that was like a month later, he actually just like put me down with the crew, and I guess he saw that I kept coming. I was always calling him. I never waited for him to call me. I never waited on him to like, hey, you want to come practice? I was the one that went to him every day, all the time, no matter what time it was, no matter.
Who all was in Mixed Motionz when you first started?
At the time, it was just Edric and this guy named Ramos. And Juice. That was the only people that were around at the time.
Were there any other crews in the scene at that time?
No, we were the only ones.
Where did all the battles and sessions go down in the city?
In our city, at the time I was around, only sessions were at our house, and we would go to like the gymnastics and stuff in practice. But at the time, it was just us. That was all it was.
What initially drew you to this art form? Like, what made you fall in love with it?
after I learned the history, it drew me in a lot more because I found out more about what I was actually doing, and I never knew there was a deep culture about breaking. I thought breaking was just dancing and there's a lot of moves, but I didn't know that it came from something. I didn't know it had pioneers. I didn't know it had so much history behind it and how much influence it had on hip-hop alone. I did not know none of that. None of that was exposed to me. So I had to dig very deep to find all that.
Who were your biggest inspirations locally when you was coming up?
Locally, well, the only people I had around was Edric Juice and Ramos. That's the only people I had.
So, who's your favorite dancers of all time?
Me, myself.
Good
But
answer.
also, as far as the old cats, the pioneers, I'll have to say Storm, Orko, Ken Swift. Those were the ones. Oh, and Alien Nest. Those were the old cats that I still like. Try to get my advice from, however I can get it. And especially Orko. He's actually in Atlanta right now, and he's the guy that is at an age where he's getting older, but he still keeps his b-boy mentality to it. Like he still has it. No matter how old he is, he still has it. And Zapper, shout out to Zapper. Zapper is another old person that's really wise and old, and he's just very entertaining. He's a cool guy. He's very humble, and he is a happy person. He's the guy that's like 50-something years old, still doing backflips. Like that's inspiration. Like
True.
You don't see that every day, especially an older person.
Right. What's your favorite battle that you were ever in, and who's your favorite opponent?
So far, I have yet to find my favorite opponent. So far, my favorite battle, I have yet to enter one. I have some people that I really do want to go after, but I still have a lot of developing to do, even at my current state. Even though I've been doing it 8 years, I've really been doing more performances than battles. Since I didn't start breaking until I was 22 years old. So at the time, I had a whole bunch of responsibilities that I still had to keep up with, like rent and bills and my school loans and all that stuff. So it takes a lot, because you can't just be free like these young kids who actually live at home.
Trust me, I feel you on that.
And like the people who are able to be at home all day, you are very blessed, because when I started, I still had to practice as much as I could, but still work at the same time. I didn't have all the free time to practice all day, every day, and that's all I could do. I had to do a lot of extra stuff just to get where I'm at now.
What would you like to tell the current and future generations here locally about your journey as a dancer, and what guidance do you have for them?
One of my best advice would be to definitely, once you find somebody who's actually doing it, make sure they have a lot of experience, make sure you know their background, make sure you like them, of course, because some people will steer you the wrong way just because they may not like you and they don't respect you. And if you're trying to learn how to break or become a breaker, definitely learn the history, because if you don't learn the history, you will lose respect, and you'll never gain it either. So it's very important to definitely dig yourself in the culture, learn the history of hip-hop, because breaking is in it as one of the elements, and listen, try to understand more, because if you have no experience, watching all these videos does not give you experience. It may give you a lot of information, which is good, but then again, it's not guidance. Guidance is a lot better than just taking a bunch of information and just having your own thought about it. Learn from somebody who has more experience than you. Please do not be these guys who watch a video and think they know everything about it. That will never go far. It'll only go short term. If you're talking to somebody who don't know it, you'll look like you know what you're talking about, but you really don't know anything. Especially if you find a guy who's been in it and he listens to you, he gonna laugh at you, he may roast you. And as a b-boy, that's what they're gonna do. That's our mentality. It's all raw. There's no sensitivity in this at all.
Real talk. All right, man. I appreciate it. That's about all I got. Anything else you want to say?
Shout out to Motionz. Shout out to Twisted Element. Shout out to Juice. Shout out to to Edric Ramsey, shout out to Ramo, shout out to Orco, shout out to people, shout out to Honey. She has a studio in Atlanta. Please go to there if you want real hip hop from the pioneers. Go to Atlanta. And that's pretty much it, man. I mean, I'll also be doing more videos, more interviews, showing y'all where I came from. I came from the country, as you can see. This is where I grew up in. My grandfather built this whole place from the ground up, and I've been here for years. So I won't ever leave. Man, that's really it, man.